Good day and welcome, everyone. My name is Yvonne Mpala, partner at wCap Limited. I'm a partner in charge of client and investor relations and risk management. Today, we have our closeout discussion with Pat Mwase, CEO of Optiquest. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you. Good morning.
Pat, good morning. Good morning. Glad to have you here today. And we're just excited to hear about your experience with wCap advisory sessions. Today, would like you to tell us a bit about your business.
Well, Optiquest student hostels was set up mainly to provide affordable, comfortable, world-class student accommodation in supporting the tertiary education sector in Zambia.
Great. Thank you for that, Pat.
So what Optiquest does is build this purpose-built student accommodation, looking at the needs, the wants of the students, and then looking at how it fits in with the quality of accommodation that's required, of course adhering to standards, and then being attractive enough to bring in investors.
That's important. Investors want quality investment. And Pat, what would you say have been the challenges your business has faced before signing up for advisory sessions?
Yeah. We applied for the advisory services primarily because we wanted to structure the business a little bit more professionally. Bring in other resources, being a very small business with us. And we saw this as an opportunity to learn more, to broaden our scope, to broaden our understanding of the business, and then to start adding value to the business in terms of operations and in terms of return on investment.
Glad to hear that, Pat. And what would you say has been the most useful aspect for you and your business with regards to participating in the advisory sessions at wCap?
In a nutshell, I'd say the critical thinking, the ability to break down the different aspects of the business and still stay in charge. It's a juggling act. So still stay over all the challenges that are happening everywhere and all in that in the environment, be able to look at the marketing, be able to look at the financing, be able to make sure that you've got policies that guide you in the business. We were able to finish off some of the policies that we were drafting. We were we looked back at some of the policies that we drafted a long time ago and say, so how do we change this to incorporate what's new, what's happening in terms of legislation, in terms of practicality. I mean, right now you have COVID, which is really wreaking havoc on most businesses, and being able to review this with the environmental challenges, that's been incredibly useful to us. Also being able to look at specific things that we take for granted. I have a marketing background, and running the business pulls you from all the activities that you need to put together in marketing. And then we've also been able to identify where the gaps are in terms of human resource that we'll need to bring onto the table gradually into the business, and also solidify the attractive side of the business that will bring us investment or financing to grow the business.
Great. And that leads on to my next question. In terms of confidence with regards to strategic planning and financial management for your future establishment, how do you feel now after having had the advisory sessions? How do you feel with regards to your confidence levels and your credibility with regards to growing the business into a future growth establishment?
Wow, the confidence levels have just shot up, not just for myself, but also for my partner and partners, who have been part of this program in absentia. With every session, we sit together and then I share some of the things that we're going through and all the to-do tasks. We do them together. We assign each other with what needs to be done. I find that that's been important for me because I needed my partners to move with me and
yes,
to
that's
understand
important.
what we're doing. And when I spend an hour away from business, I'm not just having chats with my girlfriends, but we are learning a lot of things. The implementation plan has also been really useful for us. What that has done is guided us a little better in how we tackle each and every department, and it shows us where we're lagging behind. It's color coded. It's you could
has time periods on it.
It has time frames. You see, oh no, we're losing track. So all the things that we would have needed to do, we've been able to achieve, even if we have not had the personnel in-house to be able to do it. So this extra resource that we're having, mentorship, training, business advisory, planning, we've been able to achieve all this with this program, something that I don't think would have been able to do even in a year's time, you know, a 12-month cycle. We would not have been able to do that. And then also with the financials, which is also, I think, the bloodline of the business. We have now learned how to deal with finances. My partner and I are both non-financial people. We've prioritized financials. We've engaged a consulting company to help us. And small businesses shouldn't be afraid to do this. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Most of these financial companies are also looking to work with interesting projects, and they're willing to you know, reduce costs and things. But what we've learned is that we can now plan financially for our business. We can project, we can make predictions. We can look at all the stress tests. We're putting our numbers to stress tests. What if we only have 50% occupancy? Yes. What if we only have 40%? How will we survive? How will we boost these numbers? How will we get more kids in the beds that we've created for them? So that's been really important. The other thing that we're doing while we have these consultants with us is for them to teach us how to read the numbers. Yes. How do we read financials? How do we react to them? How do we address these things? You know, so all that is things that we've been learning, which will now speak to us understanding the bottom line. Are we actually making money? Are we hemorrhaging? Yes. How do we now make the business more attractive to investors? Yes. What kind of return are we promising our investors? Yes. How is it realistic return? Exactly. How do we monitor and evaluate this? So if you're not going to wait until the end of the year to see what's happening financially. Yes. So how do we do this? How do we get our accountant to give us these reports? And how important are these reports to us, you know, from a managerial perspective and also from an investor perspective? We think that will give comfort to our investors that we are looking after their money. We are going to deliver what we promised in terms of the investment, that the return on each kwacha they invest into this business. So from that perspective, we've really learned a lot from a strategic planning perspective, as well as a financial management perspective. And this has been very useful.
And Pat, I'm glad you've touched on that, because most business owners get intimidated when you mention financial planning or any type of financial management. They don't realize that it takes a few steps for you to achieve an overall goal. If you line up all your ducks in one row, you're able to achieve. Like you've mentioned, you don't wait until the end of the year. until you start looking at your finances and trying to fix what has gone wrong. It's best you do it either you review on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis if people are more comfortable. Review those reports so you know where you're going wrong and you have enough time to go back and fix it. You have enough time to meet with your financial consultants if you have to, and make sure that you align your business operations to achieve or bring out the result that you want at the end of the day. So I'm glad you thought that was extremely helpful. And then for me, oh, go ahead, Pat, go ahead.
And in addition, what's also been very important for us is to, when we speak strategic, we've been aligning that with the corporate governance of the company.
Yes.
And how we separate the corporate governance level, so your board levels, even for small companies, you've got to do that. It's so important to do that because it gives that overall direction. It approves your policies. How are we going to manage this and so forth? So that corporate governance session and discussion was very important to us. We've been sharing it with like I say, I've been sharing it with my partners, and
glad to hear that.
They're very appreciative of it. And having brought it out in this manner has reduced the acceptance of it. Partnership is quite a challenge, and some partners will think, oh, that's so la-di-da and that's so academic, but it's not. Or they would say it's for big companies. It's not,
which is a misconception for most businesses. Agreed.
Total misconception, and that's been able to help us in thinking through the business. So we take ourselves out of the operations and then look at strategic issues, which the staff cannot deal with, because the buck doesn't end with the staff. If you borrow money or if you bring in investors, you are accountable to the investors.
Exactly.
The staff isn't. The staff hasn't promised, give me 10 kwacha, you'll get back 12 kwacha.
Exactly.
They haven't promised that. So you've got to create that space for you to be accountable to your investors, to the financial institutions, to the lenders, and so forth. So that's also been incredibly useful.
I'm grateful to hear that, Pat. And with regards to the corporate governance, it also relates to your adherence to regulation. Most people do not have standard policies which their staff are regulated by. And like you said, most people assume it's for small businesses, but it's for large corporations, but it's for every business to have, in order for your staff or your employees to be guided accordingly. And like you said, the buck stops with you. So you need to ensure that the company is running according to the policies that you yourselves have set for the company. And then based on that, you're also able to articulate properly what type of risk you are willing to tolerate, or what type of risk, or what policies you're willing to put in place to be able to mitigate whatever risk that you might face. So thank you for that, Pat. Key takeaways from the entire process. I think for me as a consultant during the sessions was when we came to the discussion of marketing and sales and client relations, and trying to make sure that you as a business break down or understand different aspects of the business, but you're also able to see the perspective from an investor's point of view. So that was really interesting in terms of trying to break down your business and trying to see it from both angles, meaning your perspective and then the investor's perspective, and then what you need to be able to bring to the table and what you need to be able to articulate to your future clients in terms of how you're going to sell whatever product you have to that particular client, and then be able to explain that logic to an investor so that the investor understands that this is a quality investment that they're participating in. So
precisely. And one of the other, I think, very important takeaway for me was the fact that the kind of perspective that I was getting and I was willing to share was the fact that wCap is women-owned and women-run, and they could understand certain aspects about the gender dynamics, two, the challenges of being a woman in business.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a well-known fact that women are generally crowded out of this space by design, by default, or by intention. I don't know, or three.
We'll leave that there.
Exactly. Yeah, being in this particular business advisory has actually given me, particularly as a female entrepreneur, it has given me the encouragement that you can do it. You should do it. And then you shouldn't be ashamed of or afraid or timid about the perspectives that you bring. I mean, throughout our proposals, we don't feel, we don't feel particularly unfair for bringing out the importance of the gender balance in businesses, from procurement, from the board and governance structure, to management, to ownership, to procurement. We are currently 50-50 in terms of procuring services from other small businesses into our business. We don't feel that we are being particularly, maybe lack of a better term, revengeful for bringing in women. We actually appreciate the women suppliers. We see how they work, how differently they approach to their work is. So we've now streamlined that whole gender balance throughout our business. It's not just going to be, it's a guy's talk. And I'm very happy that my partners see it that way, and they're able to say, oh yeah, that young lady is now who's running the cleaning part of our business. We outsource some of these businesses. Awesome. And we've included young women in the supply of these services to ourselves and also to our students that live with us. So it's been a very empowering session for me, and learning from these women, that's been incredibly empowering.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you so much for attending today's closeout session. It's been an honor working with you. As we impart knowledge to you, I think we also learn from you, and I thank you for that. And we just wish you all the best with the Student Accommodation Initiative. We know this time next year, you'll be laughing and you'll be happy with regards to the progress you've made and with regards to the investment investors you've been able to find for your investment. So thank you again for attending today's session.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thank you.
Have a great day.